Hey guys, we're going to be checking out a video titled 11 Things I Did Not Expect When Moving to the UK from the United States. 11 things. That's a lot of things. Not really, actually. Coming from a guy with family ties to the UK, I've never really thought there were, a lot of differences between the UK and the United States. However, when you really dive deep, there's a lot of differences between the UK and the United States. I almost said the United Kingdom. That is mad. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Please do like and subscribe. Any recommendations, leave those in the comment section down below, or preferably click that link in the pinned comment section and you'll be able to recommend videos and I'll check them out as soon as possible. Without further ado, let's get right into this video.
Did I judge a little bit? Yes. Did I get hit with the most amount of karma anyone could get hit by? Yes. Hi and welcome back to the Girl Gone London channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylin. I'm a dual UK and American citizen living in the UK for over 10 years now. And today we're talking about some of the things I really didn't...
Hold on. I think I done reacted to probably 3 to 5 of her videos. 10 years? Flipping hell. Damn, okay, so you got numbers on you. Damn, whoa, that is, whoa, damn, oh God.
Not expect when I first moved to the UK. Now, you could say I could have done more research, and that's true, but I was a 19-year-old embarking on a study abroad semester in the UK, and when you're 19, you're mostly just shocked by adult life in general and the fact that you're expected to somehow feed yourself, so you'll forgive me for not understanding every aspect of British culture before I moved here. First on my list is just how much British people swear as part of their general day-to-day vocabulary. I won't mention words on here because this is a family channel, but in the US, of course people swear. But in general, it's a lot more of like a Puritan style culture where a well-placed swear word means a lot and holds a ton of weight. In the UK, some people swear through every sentence and it's just part of how they talk. Words that are absolutely not cool to say in the US are totally fine to say in the UK. Obviously not around your grandma or like at a team meeting at work, but it's just a much different culture when it comes to swearing. Really? Americans have a lot of different swear adjacent words that we would use instead of actually swearing, like gosh darn it.
Oh yeah, especially for that G word, GD word. GD. Like even the most recent version of GD, God and the D word, like where water is a dam, you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't put it together now. Okay, so the most recent one of that is gat, and it's literally the same thing, but it's like gat. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but the younger people say it, but it's a new version of that same word that we're talking about right now.
Shoot. I love this example that I found from an article where an American said her grandmother used to say good night when something surprised or shocked her. We might say for gosh sakes or fudge. You'd be laughed out of the UK for saying most of these things, and part of the reason is that UK culture associates colorful language with a sense of humor rather than being vulgar like Americans tend to think of it. Number 2 is weather talk. In Florida, we don't really talk about the weather. It's usually sunny, and when it's not, it's thunderstorming, but it's pretty predictable. We don't start talking about the weather until a hurricane comes through, because what are you gonna say? Oh, it's hot out today, like it has been every single day for the past 6 months? So in the UK, I didn't expect that the weather changes so rapidly and is always relatively
I always hear about weather in the UK, like how bad could it possibly be? Like I'm actually concerned.
Certain that weather small talk is a huge part of British life, and I definitely had to get used to this. It's a great conversation starter and just something to say to acquaintances or colleagues you don't really know before starting a meeting, or to the postman or whoever. The island geography of the UK means that the weather today is probably different than it was yesterday or an hour ago, to be honest, so you can keep bringing it up over and over and over again. Also, a general dissatisfaction with the weather is the key to being British, so it's mostly just nice to complain that it's too hot, it's too cold, it's too cloudy, and when it is nice outside, you get to comment on that as well and talk about how you have to take advantage of it, or you would comment like about how it's never nice outside, not even appreciating that it is nice outside right now. Number 3 on my list are that the UK and the US Netflix have different shows. Honestly, I didn't know or expect that streaming services like Netflix would have different shows in the UK and the USA. I had been watching so many shows on US Netflix when I moved to the UK, and I just thought, well, it's Netflix. It's not like it's labeled American Netflix. It's just Netflix.
You know what? I don't know if she will say about it in the entire video, but she should. Amazon is different as well. I did not know about this. Right? So when I knew about this and I moved to Finland, right? In fact, these lights that I have actually right here, when I moved to Finland, I was like, okay, I got to buy these lights. And when I bought them, you know, if I was supposed to buy them in the US, these lights are not cheap, right? And I was looking at about $500 to get them. And I was like, oh shit, this is expensive. But if I bring it from the US to here, that shit is going to cost me like a solid $1,000 because it's that expensive. It literally doubles in price. And then somebody was like, bro, there's a thing known as Amazon DE UK, like buy it from there, it's cheaper. I was like, what do you mean? Amazon is Amazon. What are you talking about? And then I figured out, oh shit, you do actually have a total different thing going on. And things that you can get in the US store, you cannot get it in DE store. And some things probably from the DE store, you can't get it in the US store. So yeah, it's real life. I've actually had personal experiences.
So many shows on US Netflix when I moved to the UK, and I just thought, well, it's Netflix. It's not like it's labeled American Netflix. It's just Netflix, so surely I can continue watching these shows when I move abroad. That was wrong. Some were still on the British version of Netflix that you see when you watch Netflix from within the UK, but others were just on US Netflix, and then suddenly there were shows on the British version of Netflix that I could watch that weren't on in the US. Next up, and something I didn't realize when it comes to the internet, is that a lot of American local media that I used to follow, like the Orlando Sentinel, for example, the newspaper from my hometown, is blocked. I would go to look up news from back home and I would just get a like, this content is blocked in your area kind of message, which was hard when I was trying to feel connected to my hometown or at least skim through what was happening back home. And that brings me to the solution I found and a sponsor of today's video, Surfshark. Being from Florida, the words surf and shark would fill me with terror, but in my online life, they've been my best friend. Next up on my list of things I was surprised by when I moved to the UK were the incredibly narrow British roads, especially through the countryside, that are really just built for one car, if that, but somehow we've decided we're gonna try and fit 2 of them down there going 60 miles an hour in opposite directions. I knew roads would be more narrow in the UK, and I did expect like smaller parking spaces, but sometimes when I'm driving out of London, I do feel as though this was actually meant more for like a bicycle than a car, and it makes me laugh how much time you spend pulling your car into various bushes to let other people pass. This was an experience I never had in the US, living in Florida, which is mostly purpose-built with wide roads, so this was certainly a new experience for me. Next on my list was a lack of ice in drinks. So Americans love ice in their drinks. It's just the way it is. We always expect ice both at home and...
Wild situation. I no longer drink ice. Drink ice, nice. I no longer, request ice or do anything with ice anymore because it kind of hit me. That's not normal. If it's a cold bev, you don't need ice in the bev. So what are you doing? So this is real life. Real life. It's probably the entire Europe that this actually happens in, actually.
Restaurants, and we're quite famous for most of our fridges having these fantastic built-in ice machines. Culturally, to serve a drink without ice in America would definitely be out of the norm, and so when I moved to the UK, I was surprised that the ice in drink culture is not as strong here. A lot of times, whether you're being served a glass of water in someone's home or a drink at a restaurant, no ice can be the default. It's quite normal. Occasionally, you may be asked if you want ice, as people do usually have like a basic ice tray somewhere in the freezer that they can fit in, but they aren't obsessed with ice in the UK like we are in the US. And without watching 8 million YouTube videos of people like me first, I didn't know that when I first moved to the UK. Number 7, let's talk about friendly police in the UK. So the police force in the UK and the police force in the USA deserves an entirely different video, which we will do at some point. But
Please.
Typically in the US, the police scare me. Yes, they're there to help, and this is not even a comment on the larger political and cultural issues within the police force, but let's be honest, in America, the police have guns and they're just kind of intimidating. In the UK, the average policeman or woman just seems like way less intimidating. They smile a lot more and are definitely there to de-escalate rather than escalate, and most don't carry guns, which is weird to Americans, but it just creates a less threatening atmosphere when you're around them. The first time I encountered police officers in the UK in action, as it were, they're responding to a person with probably a mental health condition who kept yelling out of their window. The police were standing on the street trying to figure out what was happening and yelling back up at them to see how they could help. And they just seemed so nice and like I'd want to take them out for a cup of tea after they helped me out of a situation. The next thing on my list I was surprised by is that TJ Maxx is in the UK. It's just called TK Maxx. So one of the biggest brands and famous stores in the US is called TJ Maxx. It's where you can buy everything from clothes to home goods to stuff for your kitchen to toys. We love it. I love it. And I was surprised to find that it was also in the UK, except it's called TK Maxx here, not TJ Maxx. But it's the same brand and the same store.
It's quite wild, and it's quite interesting to think about it, because I've seen a lot of things that I wouldn't consider them like, you know, dominant in the United States, right? Because like TJ Maxx, I wouldn't consider it a Walmart. I wouldn't consider it a Walmart, right? Which is ironic because I've not seen a Walmart in the entire Finland. I don't think there's one here actually. But what I mean is like places like a Five Guy or something like that, you'd not imagine that being in Europe, right? And then you probably see it in Europe. You're like, wait, what? Y'all got that? Hold on, right? Because you're just thinking it's just all American store, unlike a place like a Pizza Hut or some shit like that, where you're expecting it to be like everywhere, because it's like it's a top dog for crying out loud, you know. So you expect it to be everywhere. So if it's not there, you're like, that's wild.
And when I tell you, my little candle-loving heart exploded when I learned this after moving to the UK, it was a good moment. And I feel like I'm gonna get comments saying like, you're so dumb. All you had to do was Google whether there was a TJ or TK Maxx in the UK before you moved here, to which I would respond, I was a little preoccupied trying to navigate visa issues, accommodation, public transportation within London, as well as making my flight. So I didn't research exactly where I was going to buy things for my house that I definitely need, but don't actually need. Now I've got 3 more things left on my list. Number 9. I was surprised by hay fever. I'd never experienced hay fever in the US before. I thought people who were allergic to grass, there was just something wrong with them. I was like, why can't your immune system handle grass? That seems basic. Did I judge a little bit? Yes. Did I get hit with the most amount of karma anyone could get hit by? Yes. I suffer horrible hay fever in the UK. And it's probably down to the different grasses and different pollens and stuff in each country. Also, sometimes as you get older, your allergies can change. So, yeah, I was really surprised when I moved to the UK that suddenly I couldn't breathe between the months of like May and July. And that was a real shock to the system, which I'm still trying to figure out to this day. When I go back to Florida, I don't experience it as much. So again, it's definitely down to the different grasses and different environments, but this definitely shocked me. Number 10, I was surprised by the amount of heckling in UK politics. And this isn't a comment on UK politics versus American politics in general, because I could not possibly say that UK politics are somehow weirder than American politics. That is absolutely not true. But there is one specific part of UK politics, and that's the Prime Minister's questions, where heckling your other people who are talking and like making lots of noises, jeering, whatever you want to call it, like it's loud and it's not a very professional setting like you would expect to happen in this sort of like, like it's not a rally. It just seems like it's actually like political business. Like I said, America is way more unhinged overall when it comes to our politics, but I didn't expect that the British, who seem to be proper and reserved and whatever, would then be in the prime minister's questions yelling and like heckling the other politicians in the room. And number 11, the last thing on my list that surprised me, are the type of locks typically used in UK front doors. So typically in the UK, not all the time, but often there's a deadlock which locks behind you automatically when you close the door.
Listen, Europe, whatever countries use this, it's the dumbest shit ever. I don't care. I don't care. Take your key, take your key. Oh, shut the hell up. It's dumb. I don't care. I don't care. I'll lose 1 million subscribers. I don't even have 1 million. I don't care. It's dumb. There are many locks out there that you do not need to have your key because you can close with the key. I would 10 times rather to have a door that I need to close with the key, okay? Rather than a door that freaking closed behind me. You know what happened to me recently? Recently, I was here and, I just grabbed my water bottle. I was headed to the basketball court and I put the key down, right? And then I ran out because I always have the key in my pocket. And I ran out and I was like, oh, snap, the key. Check my pockets. Boom, doors closed. Ah, gnarly, I locked myself out. You know what happened like probably a week or less after that? I'm just here and I have a storage door outside and the key's on the same key and I closed the house door, right? But the key's in my pocket. It went into the storage and then the key got snapped off my pocket. It got snapped out my pocket and I kept walking because I didn't realize. And then when I came outside, the door closed. And then guess what? The key is locked in there because the doors close without. I hate it. I'm just being so serious. I hate it. And I know there are probably going to be 1,000 billion Europeans who are going to defend it. I don't know. Maybe some Americans would defend it as well. I don't know who would defend it. But I just think it's a dumb thing to have. And I would never have it on a home that I own ever. Like, no, I'm not doing that. I hate it.
This was not the case. It's typically used in UK front doors. So typically in the UK, not all the time, but often there's a deadlock which locks behind you automatically when you close the door. This was not the case in most American places that I have lived. There's a lot of different locks on doors all over in the world, but in my experience, my homes growing up, you would have to actually lock the door behind you. So you wouldn't have to worry about being locked out, but you would need to worry about the safety of making sure you had locked the door. In the UK, I have noticed that a lot of doors do automatically lock behind you, which means that if you go to like take the bins out or just go out for a minute into the front, if you aren't careful, you can easily lock yourself out of the house. And this was surprising to me coming from a place where, we didn't have that type of security, so you really had to lock the door yourself, but you wouldn't lock yourself out on accident. Now that brings me to...
Yeah, I'm pretty secure. I don't need nobody locking no damn door for me. Hell no. You go to the business place, they don't have doors like that. You know why? Because people go out and people come in. You don't need that. That's my opinion. I get it. It closed for you and whatever, but like I would rather be responsible to close than to be responsible to not lose a key. Because honestly, losing a key is like one of the easiest things to do. Like I said, the last thing that happened to me, I was just walking. I had the key with me and I walked past something and it grabs onto the key and pulls it out of my pocket, right? And that was what happened. So losing your keys way harder than forgetting to lock a door, in my humble opinion. Sorry, losing your keys way easier than forgetting to lock a door. To me, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but I don't know. But I hate that. But either way, man, thank you guys for watching this video. I'm out of here. Peace.